to a budget is something every couple must do.
The question is, what are essentials and what can be sacrificed?
Sometimes temporary or permanent lifestyle changes need to happen.
Meg and Eric tell us about a sacrifice that changed their way of life and how they're living now. Thanks for joining us. To ask you a question about financial responsibility. There are times in our marriages where sometimes we have to sacrifice something. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to sacrifice something?
We've never been big earners. Meg hasn't worked for most of our married life. We've had 4 of a family, etc., etc. So we've never had very much. But now we're retired and 2 state pension and a very small company pension. We got to the stage realising it was getting harder and harder to balance the books. For myself, I was giving it a lot of thought and prayer about it. And one day I reckon that I got an answer to prayer, which wasn't a very pleasant answer to prayers.
He does that.
As answer to prayer can often be. If you didn't have the car, you would save a lot of money. Oh, wow, that's right. And I worked it out, and I realised if we didn't have the car, we would save a few £1,000s. I thought that would help our financial situation considerably. But I'd thought it. Now, I then had to broach it with Meg. And it took a wee while to pluck up the courage to broach it with Meg. Not because I'm frightened of Meg, but because
I'm terrified of Judy.
No, but that's a life-changing decision.
It's a life-changing decision, and it's not a decision you really want to make, but I realised we had to do something. So eventually I did broach it with Meg, and I then had to leave it for quite a few days. Maybe quite a few weeks. But then eventually we got around to talking about it, opened it up, looked at it seriously, looked at all the pros and cons, and we decided, yes, that's the decision we had to make. So we sold the car.
How easy has it been for you to cope with that decision, Meg?
It's fine because we have our bus passes.
Okay.
and then anywhere we need to go out with Blairgowrie, the town that we live in, it isn't a problem. It may take a lot longer, but then we reckoned that we were time rich. Whereas we weren't finance rich.
That's interesting.
And so we could actually spend the time quite easily, freely going on the bus to where we were going.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although that has proved to be a bit difficult to get to some places because you have to maybe take 2 or 3 buses to get where you're going. But we make a day of it.
So you actually use your time riches to grow your marriage, in fact.
Having been 15 months without the car, the novelty is wearing off a wee bit. I have to say, when we locally, because you can't have the same freedom with your bus pass locally to get to, say, maybe 6 miles out with the town you're living in, because there are no buses that go that way, and that's where I find the difficulty. But because we managed to save a lot more money with selling the car, occasionally if I want to go visit a friend who lives miles out of town, I can take a taxi.
Okay.
Because we're not doing that all that often, but we can do it.
So what you have done is taken an everyday something that was taken for granted, and you've turned it into something special.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I suppose so.
So you can have a special treat by being able to go out and hire a car or take a taxi.
Did you feel that your independence was being lost or not? By selling the car, because a car really does represent something, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It represents a bit of freedom. I mean, if I go to, say, Aberdeen, I would go the night before, up in the evening, babysit for the next day and come back that night. So it takes a night and a day.
So you have to plan more.
Yes, I plan more, and I walk more, which is a lot better for me.
That's right, yes.
was interesting because if I were to classify our car, I'd look at that as essential.
That raises a question. Is it really essential? Or can we do without it?
Next week, we'll be with Ella and David as they tell us how they're planning their finances.
The earlier you start, the better.
Makes sense.
God bless, and bye for now.